All right, today we're jumping into something I think a lot of us have been thinking about. Football's complicated relationship with justice. We're going to be looking at some really sharp ideas from Aydın Tiryaki on how the beautiful game is just wrestling with technology, with bureaucracy, and really with what it even means to be fair.
And this quote, man, it just nails it, doesn't it? Handcuffed by bureaucracy. Think about it. We were all sold this idea that VAR, the video assistant referee, was going to bring us absolute perfection. But what do we actually have? It feels like we've got this amazing, high-tech tool that's just tied up in red tape. It's a system that can literally see the truth, but half the time its hands are tied, and it's not allowed to do anything about it.
So yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? VAR was supposed to be the end of all arguments, the dawn of perfect justice on the pitch. So why does it still feel so broken? I mean, we have the cameras. We have the slow-mo. We have everything we need to get it right. So why is it that after every big game, all we're talking about is some huge controversy? Usually it's about what VAR didn't do. Well, it turns out there are some massive paradoxes baked right into the system. So let's start with this first big one, the VAR paradox. Seeing the truth, but being forced to ignore it. And this brings us to something called the monitor dilemma. And get this, it's a situation where the rules literally force a referee to make a call that they know for a fact is wrong. I know, it sounds insane, but it is written right into the rulebook. Okay, let's walk through a real-world example of how this plays out. Picture it. Huge game. Tons of pressure. There's a nasty tackle, and the ref gets the call in his ear. Go check the monitor for a possible red card. So he jogs over, and this is where the whole thing just goes off the rails. So the ref's at the monitor, watching the replay over and over. He decides, okay, it's not a red card, it's just a yellow. Fine. But while he's watching, he spots something else, something totally obvious. The ball clearly went out off the defender. It should be a corner kick, no question. But, and here's the insane part, the VAR protocol says you can't use it to change a corner or a goal kick. So the referee has to look at clear, undeniable video evidence, know the correct call is a corner, and then deliberately award a goal kick to the wrong team. He has to enforce a mistake he knows is a mistake. The rulebook literally forces an injustice.
Okay, so if that wasn't frustrating enough, it gets even worse when we look at yellow cards. This next section is all about how rules can actually defeat justice, and it's built around this brilliant concept called the poisonous yellow card. And it actually pulls an idea straight out of the courtroom. Yeah, in the legal world, there's this really important doctrine called fruit of the poisonous tree. It's a powerful idea. Basically, it means that if evidence is obtained illegally, let's say the police have a faulty warrant, then not only is that first piece of evidence thrown out, but anything that comes from it is also inadmissible. It's all tainted. The source is poisonous. This is a cornerstone of a fair justice system. Okay, now let's apply that same logic to football and see what happens. In our system, if a player gets a first yellow card that is just completely, totally wrong, that's our poisonous source, while VAR isn't allowed to look at it. The rules forbid it. So then, later in the game, that same player gets a second yellow that's totally fair, and boom, they're sent off. The red card is considered valid, even though the whole chain of events started with the massive, uncorrected mistake.
And that just lays the whole flaw bare, doesn't it? You can have a player sent off, a decision that can absolutely decide the outcome of a match or even a season, and it can all be traced back to an initial mistake that VAR is forbidden from touching. The system as it's designed right now actually protects the first error and lets it fester into a much bigger injustice. It's just locked in.
All right, so we've talked about red cards and yellow cards, the big, dramatic moments. But the problem goes even deeper. We're about to look at the unseen game changers. The small, seemingly minor errors that VAR isn't allowed to touch, but that can have absolutely massive consequences. Right, we all lose our minds over a missed penalty call. But what about a simple throw-in? An incorrect throw-in awarded in the final third of the pitch can be just as decisive, if not more so. It's basically the butterfly effect in football. A tiny mistake by the linesman flaps its wings, and a few seconds later, you've got a hurricane in the form of a goal.
And check out how fast it can happen. At 0 seconds, the ref makes a mistake, points the wrong way for a throw-in. 8 seconds later, a dangerous attack is developing directly from that restart. And by the time we hit 15 seconds, the ball is in the back of the net. That goal, that entire sequence of play, only happened because of that one small, wrong decision at the start.
So you're probably asking, well, can't VAR just step in and fix that? How many times can VAR buzz the ref and say, hey, hold on, that goal came from a throw-in that should have gone the other way? The answer is a big, fat 0. Not once. The rules simply do not allow it. So a goal that everyone on the planet knows shouldn't have happened stands. Okay, so we've laid out some pretty big, pretty frustrating problems with the current system. So what's the fix? Do we just give VAR even more power? Stop the game every 30 seconds? No. The solution being proposed here is actually something completely different. It's a whole new vision for how we get to justice. And the core idea is this. The solution isn't just more VAR. We don't want the game stopping every 2 minutes for some tiny infringement. That would be a nightmare. No, the answer is smarter intervention. And how do we get that? By putting the power into the hands of the people who have the most to lose and the most to gain, the teams themselves.
It's called the Football Video Support System, or FVS. And this isn't just a fantasy. It's already being tested. Now, if you watch other sports like tennis or American football, this is going to sound really familiar. The idea is simple. You give each coach a certain number of challenges each game. If they see a decision they believe is critically wrong, they can throw a flag, push a button, whatever, and force a review.
So let's put these two models of justice side by side. In the current system, some anonymous person in a video booth decides what gets reviewed, and they're bound by that super strict protocol. But in a coach-led system, the teams get to decide what's actually important. That wrong throw-in that led to a goal, a coach can now say, no way. That's a big enough deal that I'm willing to stake one of my precious challenges on it to get it right. And when you think about it, this is kind of an elegant solution for a few reasons. First, it empowers the teams to fight for their own justice. Second, it actually prevents constant stoppages because coaches aren't going to burn a valuable challenge on something trivial. They'll save them for the big moments. And most importantly, it creates a safety net. It makes sure that those massive game-breaking injustices we talked about, like the poisonous yellow card or the goal from a bad throw-in, can't be the reason a team loses a final.
And really, what this all boils down to is a fundamental shift in how we think about the game. For 100 years, we've had this romantic idea that human error is just part of the fabric of football. But let's be real. This is a multi-billion-dollar global industry now. Maybe it's time to stop accepting massive errors as part of the game and start demanding that justice is the absolute foundation of it.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Is it time to finally put justice in the hands of the coaches? Is a challenge system the real key to a fair game? Is it time to take the handcuffs off the technology we've invested so much in and actually let it do its job to fix the mistakes that really matter? It's a pretty powerful idea and definitely something worth thinking about.
Welcome to the deep dive. If you follow football, you definitely know the feeling, the frustration.
Right.
VAR was brought in to get things right, to ensure justice, but so often it just feels like this super high-tech system that's just been bolted onto these old, frustrating rules.
It's like putting a jet engine on a horse-drawn cart.
Exactly. And you've got these multi-million-dollar outcomes that still hang on protocols written for a totally different era of the game. So today, we're tearing into some, frankly, pretty explosive source material. It's from Aydın Tiryaki and Gemini 3 Pro, written in 2025.
And their argument is just so compelling.
It is. They argue that VAR is being actively handcuffed by bureaucracies, specifically the IFAB protocols, and they are calling for, well, nothing less than a radical constitutional overhaul for the whole sport.
To achieve what they call absolute justice.
Right. Our mission today is simple. We're going to stop talking about VAR's little glitches and start analyzing the huge structural barriers these authors identify. We're talking real solutions here.
Things like giving managers a challenge flag or totally changing how yellow cards work.
So to make sure you're fully grounded in their argument before we analyze it, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to start with a dramatic reading of the source material itself, verbatim. Introduction. The pursuit of perfection. The introduction of the Video Assistant Referee, VAR system, was heralded as football's definitive step towards sporting justice, a technological promise to eliminate clear and obvious errors and achieve zero error. Yet the system remains a paradox, a powerful tool shackled by its own bureaucratic constitution. The International Football Association Board, IFAB, has created a system capable of seeing the truth, but forbidden from acting upon it in countless scenarios. This analysis dissects the key constitutional flaws that prevent VAR from delivering on its promise and proposes a new framework to achieve absolute justice. 1. The monitor dilemma. I see it, but I can't call it. Imagine this common scenario. A referee is called to an on-field review, OFR, to check a potential red card offense. While reviewing the footage, the referee clearly sees that the preceding restart, a goal kick, was incorrect. The ball last touched the defender and it should have been a corner kick. However, the current protocol forbids VAR from intervening in restart decisions, corner kicks, throw-ins, goal kicks. The referee, despite having indisputable visual evidence on the monitor, is forced to ignore the corner kick error and proceed with the incorrect goal kick. This is the core paradox. The system reveals the truth, but protocol compels the official to enforce a falsehood. 2. Fruit of the poisonous tree. The yellow card revolution. In legal doctrine, evidence obtained from an illegal act is considered fruit of the poisonous tree and is inadmissible. Football has no such safeguard. If a player receives an incorrect first yellow card, VAR cannot review it. If that same player later receives a legitimate second yellow card, they are dismissed. The red card, the fruit, is valid, even though it grew from a poison tree, the incorrect first picking. This structural injustice demands radical reform. 3 solutions are proposed. A. Cumulative assessment. Before issuing a second yellow, the referee must conduct an OFR to determine if the 2 offenses combined warrant a dismissal. B. Quality control, instant review. VAR should be empowered to review all dubious yellow cards immediately. To critics who fear constant stoppages, the counter is simple. If VAR must intervene 10 times, the fault lies with the poor refereeing, not the system. C. The third chance rule. A player is dismissed only upon receiving a third yellow card, providing a crucial buffer against soft or incorrect bookings that currently have catastrophic consequences. 3. Throw-ins and the butterfly effect. The argument that reviewing throw-ins would slow the game ignores their tactical significance. A throw-in in the attacking third is as dangerous a weapon as a corner kick. When a team scores a goal that originates from a blatantly incorrect throw-in decision, a material injustice has occurred. We propose that if a goal is scored within 15 seconds of an incorrect throw-in decision in the attacking third, VAR should review the incident as part of the goal check process. The butterfly effect of a small error cannot be ignored when it leads to a major outcome. 4. The point of no return, mistaken identity and replays. One of the most tragic errors in football is mistaken identity, where a card is shown to the wrong player. While VAR can correct this before play restarts, if the whistle blows to resume the match, the decision becomes irreversible on the pitch. Even if the error is discovered minutes later, the wrongly sanctioned player cannot return. Football law classifies this as a refereeing error, a matter of judgment, not a technical error. This distinction is critical. The match is not replayed, and the points are lost forever. The team suffers an irreversible sporting consequence due to an error that was 100% avoidable. 5. New generation discipline. Play to the whistle. The premature whistle in tight offside situations remains a primary killer of legitimate attacking opportunities. Once the whistle is blown, the play is dead, and VAR is helpless. The new constitution of football must be simple and absolute. Assistant referees must keep their flags down on all close offside decisions, and the center referee must delay the whistle until the attacking phase is complete. The instruction to every player from every coach must be, do not stop until you hear the whistle. Put the ball in the net. This ensures that every potential goal-scoring opportunity is seen to its conclusion, allowing VAR to make a precise and just determination afterward. 6. The gray areas, free kicks and timekeeping. VAR's jurisdiction must expand to 2 critical gray areas. First, dangerous free kicks just outside the penalty area. A foul committed 10 centimeters outside the penalty arc can be as decisive as a penalty kick. These incidents must be reviewable under the same DOG-GSO, denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity protocols as penalties. Second, and more fundamentally, timekeeping must be professionalized. The subjective estimated stoppage time, added by the 4th official, is an archaic practice that creates massive disparities in net playing time between matches. The solution is a stop clock, net playing time, managed by the VA room. The clock stops for every goal, substitution, injury, and set piece, ensuring every match features the exact same amount of active play. Conclusion. The key is the coach's challenge, FES. How can we implement this deeper level of scrutiny without paralyzing the game? The answer lies in shifting the power of intervention. The Football Video Support, FVS, or Coach's Challenge, provides each manager with 2 challenges per match. They can use these challenges to request a review of any decision they believe is unjust, from a wrongful throw-in to a dubious yellow card. This system empowers managers to act as the final check and balance, ensuring that the game is only stopped when absolutely necessary. The journey to football reaching its true potential does not lie in accepting human error as part of the game, but in establishing absolute justice as its unshakable foundation. Ankara, December 15, 2025. Okay, so wow, a lot to unpack there.
A whole lot. but it's laid out so clearly. The
Yeah.
core paradox they start with is just, it's perfect.
It really is that monitor dilemma. Let's start there.
Right. So the technology is giving the referee the absolute naked truth.
On a silver platter.
100%. But the bureaucracy, the IFAB protocol, is forcing them to make the wrong decision. You can't make it up.
Talk us through that specific example again, the corner kick versus the goal kick, because I think that one really hits home.
Okay, so the ref is at the screen. He's already there for something big, like a red card check. The game has already stopped.
Right. The flow is already broken.
Precisely. And while he's looking at the footage, he sees plain as day the ball came off the defender. It's corner. But the original call was a goal kick.
And the rules say...
The rules strictly forbid VAR intervention on restarts, corners, goal kicks, throw-ins. So the referee, knowing it's wrong, has to tell everyone to set up for a goal kick. It completely undermines the entire point of having the review system in the first place.
It's the definition of bureaucracy defeating common sense. I mean, what is the justification? You mentioned it's about the flow of the game, but as you said, the game is already stopped.
That's the standard line, yes.
Yeah.
Limiting reviews to, match-changing incidents. But the authors just tear that apart. They ask, what possible harm is there in correcting another visible error when you're already there?
Yeah.
If the goal is truly zero error, then you have to give them the jurisdiction to fix what they see. All of it.
And while that restart mistake is, deeply frustrating, the article then moves on to what they call the most tragic error.
Yes.
The point of no return. This is where a team can lose a match, a title, everything because of a rule that feels just archaic.
It's the absolute worst-case scenario. A clear case of mistaken identity. The ref cards the wrong player. VAR should be screaming in his ear to fix it.
But if the game restarts, even for a second...
It's over. Yeah. That's the threshold. The whistle blows for the restart, and that moment is lost. The decision is locked in on the pitch. You can't bring the player back.
And this is where that legal distinction they draw is so important.
It's everything. Football law doesn't see this as a technical error, which could maybe void the match.
Like having too many players on the field or something.
Exactly. Instead, it's a refereeing error, an error of judgment. And that means the match result stands, the points are gone, the ref might get demoted, the card gets rescinded days later, but for the team,
the damage is done. Irreversibly.
that sporting consequence is absolute and permanent.
It's like the law is just prioritizing the finality of the whistle over the actual fairness of the result. Let's shift to discipline. This is a huge one. They use this legal doctrine, fruit of the poisonous tree.
Which is such a great way to frame it.
Yeah.
Because it's about the cumulative effect of a bad call.
Right. A player gets a totally bogus yellow card in the first 10 minutes.
We've all seen it.
Everyone's seen it. Then, late in the game, he makes a clear tactical foul. It's a second yellow. He's off. VAR can't go back and look at that first card.
Never. So the outcome, the red card, is poisoned by that flawed source, that first yellow.
So how do they propose fixing this? They lay out 3 pretty radical models.
The first one is called cumulative assessment. Before a ref shows a second yellow, he has to go to the monitor.
So another stoppage.
A very specific one. He has to look at both fouls together and ask himself, do these two incidents combined really justify removing this player from the game? It forces a moment of, judicial reflection. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2.
I like that. Then there's the one that people would probably push back on the most. Quality control.
Instant review for dubious yellows.
Yeah.
The immediate reaction is, you're going to stop the game constantly.
Of course.
But the counter-argument in the source is, I think, brilliant. They say, look, if VAR has to intervene 10 times in a match to fix bad yellow cards.
The problem isn't VAR.
The problem is the refereeing. The fault lies with the person who made 10 reviewable errors. It turns the system into an accountability tool. It forces the standard of refereeing to get better, fast.
That completely reframes the whole debate. It's fantastic. Okay, and the third one is the most revolutionary. Just change the math. The third chance rule.
3 yellows equals a red. It's a fundamental change to the tactical landscape.
2 yellows often just feel so abrupt, so destructive.
Especially if one of them is soft. This gives players and managers a bit more security. It acknowledges how huge it is to go down to 10 men. But you have to ask the question they hint at.
Does it make the game too permissive?
Right. If everyone knows they have an extra life, do they push the boundaries even more? It's a genuine tension.
It is. Okay, let's move from discipline to flow. The premature whistle. For me, this is one of the biggest killers of excitement in the game. An attacker is breaking through, it's tight, and whistle, plays dead.
And VAR can do nothing. Once that whistle blows, the opportunity is gone forever, which is why they proposed this delayed whistle constitution.
And it's so simple. The instruction is just, don't blow the whistle, let the play finish.
Exactly. Assistant referees keep the flag down. The center ref keeps the whistle out of his mouth. And the source points out, the new message from every coach should be,
Do not stop until you hear the whistle. Put the ball in the net.
that psychological shift is immense. It guarantees every goal-scoring chance is preserved. Then VAR can do its job. If he was offside, fine, the goal comes back. But if the flag was wrong and the whistle was delayed,
The goal stands. You've maximized the chance for a just outcome.
100%.
Okay, let's talk about expanding VAR's power. The butterfly effect argument. Why are they suddenly putting throw-ins under the microscope?
Because they make a statistical claim. They say a throw-in in the final third of the pitch is, quote, as dangerous a weapon as a corner kick.
That's a big claim.
It is, but if you accept that premise, then a blatantly wrong throw-in that leads to a goal is a material error. They even put a time limit on it.
15 seconds.
Right. If a goal happens within 15 seconds of that bad throw-in call, it should be reviewable. It forces VAR to look a little further back in the chain of events than it currently does.
It would slow things down, but maybe for the right reasons.
Okay, what about the other gray areas they want to bring in?
First, free kicks just outside the box. They point to a foul 10 centimeters outside the penalty arc.
Which is basically a penalty for some players?
Almost, yeah. A huge goal-scoring opportunity. So they argue it should be reviewed under the same tough Doggaso protocol's denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity to make sure the location and the punishment are dead right.
But the biggest gray area they tackle isn't on a pitch, it's time itself.
This is the call for real professionalization. They want to get rid of estimated stoppage time.
The fourth official holding up a board with a number that feels completely arbitrary.
Totally arbitrary. And it leads to these huge differences in actual playing time from one match to the next.
So they proposed the stop clock. Yes, a net playing time clock managed securely from the VAR room. Just like basketball or American football, the clock stops every single time the ball goes dead.
Hold on, isn't that the one thing IFAB has fought against for decades? The argument is always that it would destroy the traditional rhythm of the game.
It's a huge departure, no doubt. But the authors argue the trade-off is worth it. What you gain in transparency and fairness, knowing every single match has the exact same amount of action, is more important than tradition.
And it completely eliminates the incentive for time wasting.
Gone. Overnight. It really does establish justice as the foundation.
So with all this, reviewing yellows, throw-ins, managing the clock, how do you do it without every match lasting 3 hours?
And that leads right into their ultimate fix, the final piece of the puzzle.
The Coach's Challenge, or FVS, Football Video Support.
It's about shifting the power. Take some of the overwhelming burden off the referee and give a limited amount of it to the head coach.
So the manager gets, say, 2 challenges per match, and he can use them on these subjective calls we've been talking about.
Exactly. That dubious yellow card. That throw-in that led to a goal 15 seconds later. This is the lever that balances justice with flow.
Because the coach isn't going to waste it on something trivial.
Of course not. He's going to save it for a decision that he genuinely believes is threatening the result of the match. It prevents the game from stopping for every little thing, but ensures the big structural errors can be fixed.
You know, what's fascinating is it puts accountability on the coaching staff, too. You have to decide, in the moment, if that call is worth burning one of your 2 challenges on.
It does. It really synthesizes their whole argument. They fundamentally reject that old saying, human error is part of the game.
Yeah, they see it as institutional negligence.
In a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
Yes. And the coach's challenge is the tool that allows that pursuit of perfection without ruining the game itself.
This has been a phenomenal deep dive. I mean, we've established that VAR's current problems aren't really about the tech. They're about the restrictive rules.
The bureaucracy.
And we've looked at some truly radical solutions, from the 3 yellow card rule all the way to a fundamental change in how we keep time with a stop clock.
So if we accept the ambition of this source material, that football should try to eliminate all the error it possibly can, you have to take it one step further.
Go on.
If goal line technology guarantees a goal is a goal, and a stop clock guarantees that time is fair, and the coach's challenge fixes those pivotal subjective calls, what's the last major element of the game that's still completely vulnerable to human error? And is the FVS system, the challenge system, really enough to achieve that absolute justice they're aiming for?
Something to think about the next time a huge match is decided by a contentious final whistle.
Exactly.
A lot to mull over. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.